Hey everyone, and welcome back to Book Summary Podcast. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. So today we're going to be talking all about Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith.
Ooh, yeah. I love that book.
Yeah, this book is awesome. It's like a practical guide to understanding your emotions, especially when, things get a little bit rough.
Yeah.
Like it's
Uh,
packed with tools and techniques that you can actually use in your everyday life.
It's like a toolkit for your mind.
Exactly. It's not just theory,
Yeah.
It's about like actually taking control and, feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to unpack some of the key insights from the book. And one of the things that really resonated with me was how Dr. Smith talks about low mood.
Yeah.
We all have those down days, right?
Absolutely. And what I found interesting was how she reframes low mood. It's not something to be ashamed of or hide.
Yeah.
Instead, she encourages us to understand it as a natural human experience, something that we can learn to manage.
It's like instead of beating yourself up for feeling down,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, okay, I'm feeling this way.
Totally.
What can I do about it?
Right. She introduces this concept of a downward spiral where your thoughts, your feelings, your physical sensations, your behaviors, they all feed into each other.
Oh,
So, if you're feeling down, you might withdraw socially, and that reinforces those negative feelings.
it can feel like you're stuck in quicksand.
Yeah.
But the good news is once you understand this pattern, you can start to break free.
Totally. One of the ways Dr. Smith suggests we do this is by becoming aware of our thought patterns and biases.
Oh, yeah, those sneaky little thought traps.
Exactly. Like she talks about these common biases like mind reading,
Oh,
where
yeah.
we assume we know what other people are thinking, often negatively.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah.
Like if a friend doesn't text back right away,
Yeah,
I immediately jump to, they must be mad at me.
that's a classic example.
Okay.
And then there's filtering, where we focus on the negative and ignore the positive.
Yeah.
Or emotional reasoning, like believing that because we feel a certain way, it must be true.
It's like our emotions become the ultimate truth, even if they're not based in reality.
Right.
So how do we combat these biases?
Well, Dr. Smith offers a bunch of practical strategies, and one is to simply label them.
Okay.
So instead of saying I'm a failure, you might say I'm having thoughts about being a failure.
It's like creating a little distance between you and the thought.
Exactly. And she also talks about using distance language in other ways.
Okay.
Like instead of saying I can't handle this, you might say this is challenging, but I'm going to try my best.
I love that. It's
Mm.
like giving yourself a pep talk, but in a more realistic way.
Mm-hmm. Another powerful tool she suggests is journaling.
Oh, yeah.
Writing things down can really help you identify those negative thought patterns
Uh-huh.
and start to challenge them.
It's like you're becoming a detective of your own mind.
Yeah.
If you guys are liking these tips, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into awesome books. Now let's move on to another key theme, actively managing your mood. Dr. Smith really emphasizes the importance of taking action rather than just waiting for things to change on their own.
Yeah. One of the most fascinating tools she introduces is metacognition.
Whoa, that sounds steep.
It is. But it's also incredibly useful. It's basically the ability to think about your own thinking.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. So it's like taking a step back from your thoughts and feelings and observing them without judgment.
So instead of getting swept away by your emotions,
Yeah.
you can say, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now.
Yeah.
What's causing this? What can I do about it?
Exactly. And she also talks about the power of mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment. This can be super helpful for avoiding rumination, where you just keep replaying those negative thoughts over and over again.
It's like hitting the pause button on those runaway thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what else I found really helpful? Dr. Smith's emphasis on gratitude. It might sound cheesy, but focusing on the good things in your life, even small things, can really shift your perspective.
Gratitude can be a game changer.
Yeah.
It's like training your brain to focus on the positive,
Yeah.
which can have this ripple effect on your overall well-being.
Yeah, let's get real. We all have those days where even thinking about gratitude feels impossible.
Oh, yeah.
But Dr. Smith acknowledges this,
Mm-hmm.
and she offers some practical tips for navigating those tough days.
Like what?
Well, one is to focus on making decisions that are good enough, not perfect.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. She encourages us to challenge that all-or-nothing thinking that can keep us stuck,
Mm-hmm.
and she emphasizes the importance of self-compassion.
Treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend.
It's so easy to be hard on ourselves, especially when we're feeling down.
Yeah.
But Dr. Smith reminds us that self-criticism rarely helps.
And finally, she encourages us to shift our focus from the problem to the solution. So instead of dwelling on what's wrong, try visualizing how you want to feel and take steps towards that desired state.
It's about being proactive and taking control.
Yeah,
This book is full of these little nuggets of wisdom.
it is.
All right, before we move on to some of the foundational habits for mental health, let's take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more insights from Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? And remember, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're finding this helpful.
Yes, definitely.
See you in a flash.
Yeah. And welcome back. We're diving deeper into Dr. Smith's Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? And now we're getting into what she calls the defense players for mental health.
Oh, I love that.
These are the foundational habits that can help protect you from emotional setbacks, kind of like a strong defense in sports.
I love that analogy. It makes so much sense. So what are these all-star players?
Well, she focuses on 5 key areas: exercise, sleep, nutrition routine, and human connection.
Okay, let's start with exercise.
Hmm.
I'll admit, sometimes the thought of working out just makes me feel more stressed. But Dr. Smith has a really refreshing perspective on it.
Yeah, she emphasizes that exercise doesn't have to be about, punishing workouts or striving for some unattainable body ideal.
Right.
It's about finding movement that you genuinely enjoy and that makes you feel good.
So it could be dancing, walking, swimming, hiking,
Yeah.
whatever gets you moving.
Exactly. And she highlights the incredible mood-boosting effects of exercise,
Yeah.
even if you're just starting with, short walks a few times a week. Plus, she explains how exercise can actually increase your willpower,
Really?
making it easier to make healthier choices throughout the day.
It's like a positive chain reaction.
Okay.
You feel good, so you make better choices, which makes you feel even better.
Right.
I'm starting to see why this is a defense player. What about sleep? I know that's something I struggle with sometimes.
Sleep is crucial. Dr. Smith dedicates a whole section to it,
Right.
emphasizing its impact on everything from, our mood and energy levels to our cognitive function and physical health.
She's not just talking about getting enough hours right.
Yeah.
It's also about the quality of our sleep.
Absolutely. She shares tons of practical tips for creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Like what?
Things like taking a warm bath, dimming the lights, avoiding screens before bed, creating a sleep sanctuary.
And what I found really interesting was her point about not forcing sleep.
Yes. Trying to make yourself fall asleep can often just make things worse.
Oh, for sure.
It's like that saying, a watched pot never boils.
So true. So she talks about shifting your focus from trying to sleep to simply resting.
Right. And she suggests things like writing down your worries or to-dos to get them out of your head,
Oh, that's a good idea.
or doing some gentle stretches or breathing exercises to relax your body and mind.
Okay, let's move on to nutrition.
Yeah.
I'm always hearing about different diets and what's good and bad for you. What's Dr. Smith's take on it?
Well, she's not about restrictive diets or labeling foods as good or bad.
Yep.
Instead, she focuses on the connection between what we eat and how we feel.
Oh, okay.
She advocates for a balanced whole foods diet that nourishes both our bodies and our minds.
So lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats. Basically the stuff our grandmothers told us to eat.
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making, gradual, sustainable changes that support your overall well-being. And she encourages us to experiment and find what works best for our individual needs and preferences.
It's about listening to your body and figuring out what makes you feel your best.
I love that approach.
Okay, what's next on the list of defense players?
Routine.
Okay.
Dr. Smith highlights the importance of having some structure in our lives
Yeah.
while also leaving room for spontaneity and adventure.
So it's about finding that balance between predictability and flexibility.
Exactly. Routine can help us feel grounded and secure,
Oh.
while also preventing decision fatigue and overwhelm. But she also emphasizes the importance of breaking out of routine sometimes and trying new things to keep life interesting.
It's like that saying, variety is the spice of life. And finally, we have human connection. This one seems so obvious, but I think it's easy to forget how important it is, especially when we're struggling.
Absolutely. Dr. Smith really emphasizes the vital role of social connection in maintaining good mental health. She reminds us that we're not meant to go through life alone and that it's okay to reach out for support.
Whether it's from friends, family, a therapist, or even a support group, it's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and letting people in.
And she offers some really insightful advice on building and maintaining healthy relationships, like being emotionally responsive to each other's needs and communicating effectively.
This is gold. If you guys are finding this deep dive helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It really helps us out. Okay, moving on to another fascinating topic that Dr. Smith tackles. Motivation. I always thought motivation was this elusive thing that you either have or you don't, but she completely reframed my thinking on it.
Yeah, she challenges the idea that motivation is a fixed trait, arguing that it's something that we can cultivate and strengthen.
One of the things I found most empowering was her point about taking action even when you don't feel like it.
It's about choosing behaviors that are aligned with your goals.
Right.
Even when you're facing resistance or feeling blah.
She talks about procrastination as a form of avoidance. And she even touches on anhedonia, which is the loss of pleasure in activities you used to enjoy.
Right. And instead of beating yourself up for not feeling motivated, she encourages you to just start taking small steps, even if it's just for a few minutes.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly. And she talks about the power of acting opposite to your urges.
Oh.
So if you're feeling like withdrawing and isolating yourself, challenge yourself to reach out to a friend or do something social, even if it feels counterintuitive in the moment.
It's about breaking those avoidance patterns and creating new, healthier habits. All right, let's shift gears and talk about anxiety. Like with low mood, Dr. Smith emphasizes that anxiety is not something to be eradicated completely, but rather something we can learn to manage effectively.
And she points out that avoidance, while it might feel good in the short term, can actually make anxiety worse in the long run.
It's like constantly running away from a bully. They just keep coming back stronger.
Exactly. She talks about safety behaviors,
Okay.
which are things people do to try to feel safe in anxiety-provoking situations,
Okay.
like avoiding eye contact or always having an escape route plan.
But the problem is those safety behaviors can keep you stuck in a cycle of anxiety.
Right. They prevent you from learning that you can actually handle those uncomfortable feelings and situations. So she encourages people to gradually face their fears step by step, building up their confidence and resilience.
It's about reclaiming your life from anxiety's grip. Now let's talk about some practical tools for calming anxiety in the moment. Dr. Smith highlights the power of breathing mindfulness and physical movement.
One technique she recommends is square breathing.
Oh yeah,
It's a simple but effective way to regulate your breath and calm your nervous system.
I've heard of that. You inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold again for 4. It's like hitting the reset button on your stress response.
Exactly. And she also talks about how physical movement can be incredibly beneficial for managing anxiety.
Because exercise helps you use up those stress hormones and promotes relaxation.
Right. It doesn't have to be anything intense. Even a short walk or some gentle stretching can make a difference.
And speaking of things that can make a difference, Dr. Smith offers a really helpful way to reframe anxious thoughts. Recognize them as guesses, not facts.
She encourages us to create distance from those thoughts,
Yeah.
using techniques like mindfulness, distanced language, and journaling.
And she dives into common anxious thought biases, like catastrophizing, personalizing, overgeneralizing, and labeling.
These biases can distort our perceptions and make our anxiety worse.
So it's important to challenge those thoughts and develop a more balanced perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where those tools like mindfulness and distance language come in handy.
Okay, before we wrap up with Dr. Smith's insights on finding meaning and building strong relationships, we want to remind you to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this deep dive. We'll be right back to finish up our exploration of Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before?
And welcome back. We're in the final stretch of our deep dive into Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? And I'm really excited to explore these last two big ideas from Dr. Smith: finding meaning and building strong relationships.
Me too. These are topics that are so close to my heart, and it seems like everyone's always searching for, happiness.
Yeah. But Dr. Smith challenges that idea a bit.
Right. She reminds us that life is full of ups and downs, and that it's unrealistic to expect constant happiness.
For sure.
So instead of chasing these fleeting feelings, she encourages us to focus on finding meaning and purpose.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So how do we actually go about finding meaning?
Well, one of the key things Dr. Smith suggests is identifying your core values,
Okay.
those guiding principles that are most important to you.
Values like honesty, kindness, creativity, adventure.
Exactly. And once you've kind of figured out your values, you can start making choices that are aligned with them.
Okay.
This can bring a sense of purpose and direction to your life, even when things are tough.
It's like having a compass that helps you navigate through life's challenges.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about relationships. This is a big one.
It is. Relationships play such a huge role in our overall well-being, and Dr. Smith dives into the complexities of relationships, debunking those common myths, like, the idea that relationships should always be easy or that you should stay together no matter what.
So it's not about finding the perfect partner
Right.
or having a conflict-free relationship. Exactly. She encourages us to embrace the messiness and the challenges that come with being in relationships. And she provides some really practical advice on how to navigate those challenges effectively.
Like what?
Well, one of the key things she talks about is emotional responsiveness, being attuned to your own needs and the needs of your partner.
It's about being present and really listening to each other.
Right. And it's also about communicating your own needs and feelings clearly and respectfully.
It was a two-way street.
Yeah.
It's about both partners feeling heard and understood.
Exactly. Dr. Smith also talks about the importance of letting go of unrealistic expectations.
You mean those fairy tale ideas about love and relationships?
Yes. She reminds us that real relationships involve compromise effort and a willingness to work through challenges together.
Yeah.
It's about accepting your partner for who they are, flaws and all.
That's so important. I think we often put so much pressure on ourselves and our partners to be perfect, and that just sets us up for disappointment.
Absolutely. This book is all about embracing the reality of human experience, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
I think that's what makes Dr. Smith's approach so refreshing and relatable.
Yeah.
She's not offering these, quick fixes or magical solutions, but rather practical tools and strategies for navigating the ups and downs of life.
Exactly. And she reminds us that it's okay to ask for help when we need it.
Yeah.
Whether it's from a therapist, a trusted friend, or a support group,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with others is essential for our well-being.
This book is seriously packed with wisdom.
Mm.
We've covered so much ground today, from understanding our emotions to managing stress and anxiety to finding meaning and building stronger relationships.
It is. It's like a comprehensive guide to living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh,
And before we wrap things up, we want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question from the book. If you were to live each day as if it were your last evil, what would you do differently?
that's a powerful question. It really encourages us to think about what truly matters to us and to make choices that align with our values.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Big Summary Podcast for more in-depth discussions on life-changing books.
And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below, letting us know what resonated with you the most.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, you have the power to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep those minds curious.